Okay, go.
I'm Jake Scarbell, and I'm interviewing my grandma. It is June 2015. When you were in second grade, what was your favorite toy?
My favorite toy in second grade was a little baby doll.
How did you meet Grandpa?
We were both in college. I lived in one dorm. He lived in another dorm. He came in to see one of his friends, and I was in there, and he called, and we talked on the phone. And then the next day was his birthday, so I went to the library with him because we both had a math test we had to take.
Where did you go to school?
My dad was in the service. He was an Air Force pilot, and so I went to school in lots and lots of states. Illinois, Texas, Oklahoma, California, Bermuda, all over the place. And when I was in the second grade, I was in Tennessee.
What did you wear?
When I was in second grade, girls were not allowed to wear jeans or pants. You had to wear a dress. You would get sent home if you had anything else on. So I wore a dress to school every single day, all the way up to when I was in college. And finally, when I was halfway through college, I could wear pants, long jeans or something.
What was it like in the military?
My dad was in the military, and we would live close to the base, and when you went into the base, you felt really, really safe. Everybody would watch out for the kids and make sure they were safe. It was a nice upbringing, other than the fact we had to move a lot.
What was your favorite subject?
I liked math, just like you. And Pop liked math too, and so did your mom, and so did your dad, and now you do.
Did you have a backpack?
Nope. In the United States, most kids didn't carry a backpack then. And you would put your biggest books on the bottom and then pile them up and then hold them like this in your arm, and you have to try not to carry everything. I mean, not to drop it. So it's hard to carry everything. You know, notice now in your backpack how much things you have in there. Little things, big things. You would have one pencil case and books, and that was it. You had to carry those home from school.
Did you play sports?
Nope. We played sports for fun, but when I was a young girl, girls didn't have any sports like they do now. Like baseball, you couldn't play baseball. You could play with the boys for fun, but at school, any of those sports, there were no sports for girls.
Where did you grow up, and what did it look like?
I grew up in lots of different states, and last week I went back to visit one of my places that I lived in. I lived in Bermuda, and the house there was pink, and it had blue shutters and a white roof. And the roof looked like little steps like this, and you caught water on the roof because it was in the middle of the ocean, a tiny little island, and it went down into a tank, like a basement in the bottom, and all the water that you had was down underneath your house. It looked really different because all the houses there were different, pink, blue, purple, all sorts of different colors.
How did you travel and get around?
In Bermuda, you could only have one car, and it had to be a little tiny car. And since there were 5 kids in my school, in my family, this little tiny car, the mom and dad would sit in the front, 3 kids would sit in the back seat, and in the very back part, it was what was called a station wagon. 2 of the kids had to ride back there, and so they bounced around more. There were no seat belts back then in cars. So all 5 of us and 7 people in the family would fit in one little car. And you could only go 20 miles an hour in Bermuda. That's as fast as you could go.
How much was candy?
If you got a candy bar, it would be anywhere from 3 cents to, if you got a big one, bigger than the ones that you get now, they were 5 cents. And most candy was like a penny. That's pretty cool, huh? Well, the only problem was you didn't make as much money back then, too, so it maybe all evened out. What's your next question?
How much did clothes cost?
When we lived in Bermuda, the only way you could buy clothes was to get it from the Sears catalog. And so we would look at pictures in the catalog and say, oh, I want that dress. And then we would send off our money and it would come in the mail. So you didn't get to try anything on. Got another question?
Was there any sizes for the clothes?
It would say a size on there, and at the back of it would say if you had a size 8, it was this many inches, you know, you should be this tall, and so you would try to figure out your size from that. Pretty weird, huh?
Was candy, the different sizes of candy, did that make it different of how much it cost?
No, the reason why it was so cheap is maybe during that time, maybe your dad would make $10,000 a year, maybe 15 if you're lucky, and so there wasn't as much money, so everybody didn't make as much money. Now, probably the same position would be like $150,000 a year instead of 15. So you can see your money went a lot farther back then, but you didn't make as much money. Like a house would probably cost around $4,000 to $5,000. Now that's probably more. Your mom and dad probably pay more than that every month for a house. It's different, huh? Mm-hmm. Got anything else? Mm-hmm. Went all the way through? I noticed one of your questions on here was when your ancestors came to America for the first time. And 2 of your ancestors came, one in 1881 from Switzerland, one in 1863, and one of your relatives came in 1683 to Delaware. That was right after, I mean, even before we were in the United States. So I appreciate that you asked me all these questions, Jake. Did you have fun learning any of this? Great.